Okay?
Yes, I am.
Okay, please stand for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In conformance with the Open Public Meeting Law, Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this meeting setting forth the time, date, place, and purpose of this regular meeting through notice posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, mailed to all who have requested and paid for same, and published in the Suburban Trends. Roll call, please.
Mayor Sarah.
Here.
Council President Wright. Here. Councilman Bay.
Here.
Councilman Deline.
Here.
Councilman Giaconetti.
Here.
Councilman Polidori. Here. Councilman Finn.
Here.
With us this evening is our Borough Attorney Joseph Ragno and our Borough Administrator Kevin Boyle.
Okay, thank you. I have no presentation, so we'll go right to open the meeting for public comment. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Councilman DeWine, Council President Riker, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Just step up. Here, I'll take Randy first, and then we'll take you. He'll go first. It's okay, he's standing.
Randy, 443 Montclair Avenue. Resident got in touch with me and informed me, because I hadn't been watching, that Channel 77 is off the air. Any reason for that?
Don't know. Do we know anything about that?
It was on this afternoon. How do you feel about
I put it on this afternoon, it was the opera. Same as Channel 76.
We'll look into it. I don't know why, but we'll look into it.
The resident had put it on and got in touch with me and said, what happened to Channel 77?
Why are they calling you? I wonder, but okay, they could have called us.
Well, I don't know. They seem to think that I'm concerned about it.
all I can tell you is that there's two monitors there, and one monitor had the council meeting playing, so the issue is cable vision and public access, because it was on a monitor today, so the meeting was playing, so cable access is Channel 77.
I put it on in the afternoon and it was the opera.
We don't control cable vision.
Oh, we understand that. I'm just bringing it up.
Yeah, so we'll look into it. I mean, the opera would obviously not be us, so that would be Cablevision somehow. But let's look into to see what happened. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
We will look
I
into it.
understand you guys don't watch it all the time, so just bringing it to your attention.
All right, thank you.
To bring up an old subject, speaking for Shade Tree, we were contacted from a resident at 313 Ramapo Avenue of a large limb laying on the wires.
Yes.
I went by and checked the house. Yes, there's a large limb laying on the wires. Absolutely nothing that I or DPW can do about it.
Correct.
I've been speaking about a bucket truck now for 5-6 years. You guys tell me. And sometimes it's become a joke. But actually, it's a necessity. Right now, there's a big limb hanging at 25 Center Street, opposite the house of a borough employee, Barbara Shoshone. Nothing we can do about it. You really have to consider getting a piece of equipment. We've been talking about this piece of equipment for years now. These two incidents could be taken care of 15-20 minutes.
No, well,
Right now-
anything near a line, we will not take care of.
Excuse me?
Anything near a power line, we will not take care of.
Both are not near a power
Well, you said one was over a power line.
line. No, one are over wires. They're cable wires,
Well, but
telephone
any wires, we don't identify
They're
wires.
not electrical wires.
But we don't identify those.
Well, I'm just saying.
So we would have to call company into it.
The other one is right in the middle of the road, opposite Barbara Shoshone.
That would have to look at it.
You know, I mean, both these incidents could be taken care of in a half hour each. Right now, I just told Madeline Denty, who takes in the calls for Shade Tree, to inform that we could prune the trees, but it may take till Christmas.
Well, actually, the suggestion I'll make to you would be, on that instance, where there's something hanging over, they should call the town and speak to Kevin, and then if we have to, we'll address it by hiring somebody to go out and do that. Not a tree service.
You are absolutely correct, Mayor. But there are so many different ways of communication now between Facebook and our website, and I don't really recall how these messages came in, They just referred to me to go check. I'm bringing them up now. Kevin can check with DPW at these two locations and see what they can do.
Right.
If they can call out downs in an emergency,
Right.
so be it. But what I'm just saying is, if we had the piece of equipment, they can be both taken care of within a morning.
Well, I will say this, we have someone speaking with the county and looking into if they have anything available. We're not, obviously not gonna buy a new one, they're too expensive.
I understand.
But if something comes up, we would look at it.
I've had a nice conversation with you at your residence the one day, and we talked about that. And I know that you're going to try to do what you can do. And we definitely appreciate that. But I'm just saying of the urgency sometimes.
Sure.
Issues come in like this all the time. And I go out, I check it out, I could bring it up to Kevin, I could bring it up to DPW. Nothing they can do.
No, but it gets recorded, that's what I'm worried about. I want it recorded, that's all.
That's great, and that would be needed to be done.
Right.
Also, we talked about a tank, a water tank, for the DPW to water different trees.
They have a water tank. They're watering our downtown plants right now 4 times a week.
Are they?
Yeah.
What about the tree in the back that was donated by DPW to Barbara Padula?
Staff took care of that.
Staff is taking it. They just put a hose for that.
Put an alligator bag on there.
Oh, it
That's
is?
taken care of.
All right, good, because that's a real hot spot, and I had talked to DPW about that when they initially had planned on getting that for her.
So that's why if you notice when you drive by, there's a hose on the side of the building now. It's there for that reason.
Okay, good. At the last meeting, you had mentioned to me about a tree in the back of the parking lot here that you wanted to have removed. That tree is on private property.
We know.
That property is owned by the Sousa brothers, and we don't usually remove trees on private property. We can prune straight up, that's what we usually do. So I just wanted to let you know that, and as you probably do
We got
know,
permission from the Sousa brothers to move the tree, we actually moved that fence.
Because it's damaging our property.
New fence line up, we're gonna take those trees down, we got permission from Sousa to do that. And Dan's coordinating down, and we're doing that together.
right, but that's Susan's tree, that's up for him to remove it, not for the town.
No, but the problem is it's damaging our fence, which it's damaging cars in the parking lot from the fence. So we're gonna redo the whole fence, a guardrail, and get rid of the tree so people can park back there now. Now we have workers who will not park back there because of the damage from the tree.
Recently, I do want to say right off the bat that for many years, I've been asking for Montclair Avenue to be paved. And I want to thank the mayor and council and Kevin Boyle that that is being done right now. And the residents on Montclair Ave do appreciate that. The only situation that we've had is notice. Nobody in the street knew, except me, and I don't know all my neighbors, when anything was going to be done. Utility markouts were made, and but they didn't know what was going on. And then there was a notice, from what I understand, the contractor was supposed to notice
I think
the
so.
residents as opposed to the town
Correct.
noticing the
Is
residents.
that correct? I think that's...
Well, this
Door
was,
hangers out there, he did.
this is the door hanger.
That's right.
And the door hanger is a door hanger. It was not hung in the door. It was put in the mailbox with the mailbox closed. Nobody knew on the 10th of July that anything was going on until the police knocked on their door for them to move their car. The notification from the contractor is not adequate.
So you're saying it was in the mailbox or hanging on the mailbox?
No, it was in the mailbox with the mailbox closed.
Well, that would be...
Now, the contractor would not know that we get our mail between 7 and 11. They wouldn't know that. We wouldn't expect them to know that. But they put it in the mailbox. Now, all of you have residents living next to you. This notification was ridiculous. It was chaos the day that they started. Police were there doing what they're supposed to do, but people were knocking on the doors to move cars. Why, for 21 households on Montclair Ave and 2 residents, average taxes $10,000 per house, $40,000 for the businesces, that's $250,000. Why couldn't we send letters?
Doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that
For
way.
50 cents a letter
Doesn't work that way.
from the town
It's
to
in the
notify. Why couldn't it? Why couldn't it?
Because it's in the contract. It's negotiated with the contract deal we do with the person doing the work.
Well, then, the contractor that you have, Cifelli, correct? Cifelli. Inadequate job.
And we'll pass that on, to him. I will tell you this, he should not have put them in the mailbox, so he definitely should be he could hang them on the mailbox, so that's something we should address with him, you can't put it in the
Well,
mailbox.
supposedly, it's illegal to put them in the mailbox.
I don't know if it's true or
All run for
not.
office, and politically, you can't put them in the mailbox, and they did.
So we can look into why they didn't hang them. But how much notice was there? I didn't see the notice.
Well, so first of all, it's understood that the beginning of the project was curb returns. It was not in front of people's properties. We're doing all the handicap curb returns. So,
Well, when did you get it? So, I mean, it says 7:10.
That was in the mailbox the day before. They must have put it in late afternoon,
So you're saying there was one day in between, or no days?
the day before. That says the 10th, it was put in on the 9th.
Okay, so that, we look into why,
well, but no properties, the first part of the project, no properties of inconvenience. That was, you weren't doing work on people's properties, doing all the curb returns first, then doing work in front of people's properties. So, even that's a mistake. We dealt with that, talked to the inspector and the engineer, talked to Cifelli.
but they have to move cars. They do have to move cars, correct?
And today, they're not all doing, people were knocked down doors, make sure you had to fire out and work in front of your driveway. They knocked on the doors, make sure people out bring it.
And that's fine, they did that. I'm just concerned that what happens if one of the residents wasn't home, we had to get that car moved, then what happens?
They'll get them out.
Now, I would like to say, in all due respect,
I'm answering the question from the mayor. Yeah, get them out.
Get who out?
You stone the driveway, because it's a 4-inch lip, but they put boards, the car comes out, the boards, you gotta get out. And you got.
No, I'm saying if somebody wasn't home and the car had to be moved off the street, then what would happen?
Well, that wasn't an issue. We weren't doing any type of work on the street today.
Oh, so there was no
We
street
were
work?
working with people's like aprons and driveways.
So there was no street work?
There was no street work.
Okay. Okay, what were you saying?
you know, in all due respect to Borough Administrator Boyle, on that day that they started, I asked George Rebello from Cifelli, who was the super on the job, are you doing curbs and sidewalks? He said, no, we're only doing handicap, like Mr. Boyle said. I left, I came back, sidewalks were all tore up. It turned out that Jeff, I don't know his last name, you can tell me, from Ferrara, the engineer, he walked down the street and spray painted different slabs of concrete that he wanted removed. On that notice, you can read it, it says, mark out your sprinklers. I did not mark my sprinklers because George had said we're not doing curbs and sidewalks.
Right, but you shouldn't be calling George, you should be calling the town.
Listen, I'm an old shop steward from way back. I talked to the guy who's
But
on the job.
that's not how business is done. You've got to, if the town is doing a job, you've got to speak to the
You can say
town.
how business is done. I know how business is done on job sites.
But it didn't
I
work.
spent 40 years in
Did
construction.
it work for you? Did George give you the right information?
No, he gave you the
There you
wrong
go then.
information.
So it didn't
Well,
work.
I want to tell you right off the bat that most times on this job site, nobody knows what's going on. I talked to the police, I talked to the super on the job, I even talked to Jeff from Ferrara. A lot of times, he doesn't know
But
what's
you should
going on.
be making your call to the town. We're the owner of that street, and we're the responsible party for that.
They don't know from minute to minute. When I talked to George, he said he was only going so far, and then he got a call from his boss, and they went farther on the excavation of 3 foot from the curb.
Right, but I'm saying Kevin would have that information.
No, we wouldn't have that information. It changed within an hour. You wouldn't have
That
that.
happened, again.
This is job site, this is construction. Things change
And
all the
that's my
time.
point, Manny, you're missing the point. It is job, it is construction, and things will be fluid and change from time to time.
Correct.
They're gonna work when the weather's good, they'll try to get out of it when the weather's bad. And the bottom line is that we're polite enough to allow you to talk to the inspector. Going forward, the inspector will be told, if you have a question, you call me. Not talk to the inspector, not talk to me. Because you're creating more problems on that job site than what you have out there.
I'm not creating problems, I'm asking for information.
But the problem is that when you ask for information, things will change. Like you asked about paving. I only found out today the paving's will be done sometime in August when it gets coordinated. The still comes on New Broad Street at the same time as doing my plan.
Correct.
You also say, when the paving was. We only found out today when potential time frames. Bottom line is that construction's ugly, and it disturbs people, and you have to have some patience. Bottom line. The other thing is, I talked to Jeff today, I talked to Mark Dennison today, and they know what's going on. And I believe there's someone battle published on some of the issues that you feel issues, that if you're a normal construction worker and an inspector on that issue. Bottom line.
And I'm going to say this, and this isn't just for you, this is for any resident. If it's a problem with the project the town is doing, nobody should be speaking from the job site about the town. You have a question, you have to call the town and ask them what's the concern, what the problem is. The town will respond to it. No one on the job site we're going to trust with the information. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's an inspector or the owner of the company. We're paying that company to do the job. If there's a question about that job, the question comes to us, not the people on the street.
Correct. But what I'm saying to you is, the neighbors there have no idea what's going on. Should I pull my car out? Should I leave it in? Should I move it down the street? What are you doing today? There's no information there. George, who is the super on the job, from what I understand, is a traveling super. He's only there for a short time, then he goes to another job, then he goes to another job. Who was running the job? The backhoe operator.
It doesn't matter who's running the job.
Well, what I'm just saying, the residents need to know what's going on.
The residents can call
and
and
there's
we'll take care of
nobody
it.
there to tell them what's
They can
going
make a call to the town hall. Every resident can do that about any situation, not just about your street. If there's a problem with a dog running on the street, or if there's a problem with a pothole, talking to a guy from the DPW is not going to fix the pothole. You have to call the town, register it with the town. We'll call the DPW and have them fix it. Talking to a guy from the DPW is not going to fix it.
I am just trying to make you understand of the situation that's happening right now.
I hear
From
it.
what I understand on the website...
But you're the only one complaining.
You're doing 14 more roads in town that you're resurfacing. And you could have these same problems. I am just trying to inform you ahead of time of what the problems of the residents of Montclair Ave are running into.
None of those residents...
This is for your information
Right.
only.
None of those residents from Montclair Avenue called us.
Because they
There's
feel frustrated.
You can't speak for all the residents there.
Jeez, we've gone through this so many times.
You can't do it.
Going back to that.
If a resident has a concern, they have to call.
inform you of the situation.
And we thank you,
understand?
but I'm saying the residents have to call on their own. They have to take some responsibility. If they have a concern, they have to call. They can't call you and say, what's the question here? They need to make a call. If they don't want to have that or do that, then...
I have to question some of the input because we do major projects all the time. We've done Grant Ave, we've done Broadway Avenue, major projects. I've had fewer complaints I've heard from this little stretch Montclair Ave in the last 2 weeks. It's amazing how Montclair Ave has had the worst job we've ever done since
It's not the worst job. The guys are doing good. The guys are doing real good. They know what they're doing.
But my point is,
I'm
Randy,
just talking about
this is part of
information.
construction. And again, today, they knocked on people's doors, you have to move your car out. I'm not sure what you expect from the contractor and/or the inspector, but it's the same routine we've done on major projects and never had any of these type of issues you bring to the fore. I've never had anybody from Grant Ave come here, Broadway Avenue come here. I can go down a list of all the streets we've done, and this seems to be amazing that Montclair Ave is the one that has to be the sore thumb. I find it hard to believe.
But I will say this, and I won't end this, but I will look into, I agree with the one thing you said, is
And I
it shouldn't be
agree with
put
that too,
in the mailbox. So it should be hung on the door. So I will look into why that hasn't happened. But the other concerns, if a resident has a concern about anything, they have to make a call to the town, not to, not to some person who works for the town. They have to call the town and figure out what the answer is, because that's the true answer. I can't guarantee the person who they speak to, even a police officer, is going to know the information that it has to be done.
Because conditions on the job, like Kevin said, change
Right.
within the hour. So, somebody was telling me...
5 minutes is up.
Excuse me?
Your 5 minutes is up.
I'll save it for the next one.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes. Anyone else like to speak?
You have time, Mayor?
No, the mayor...
You have plenty of time, come on. Yeah, sure.
Thanks, man.
Gregory Wayne Cockerfair, 26 Albert Street, Pompton Lakes, New Jersey. Have you heard of a Gordian knot? Who here has heard of a Gordian knot?
I have not.
Okay, it's in mythology and everything else. Well, I'm against swords as much as I am pollution, okay? So I believe it's a catch-22 situation too. The problem with DuPont is that there's 10 words which a friend of mine said about 30 years ago. If it's going to be, if it is going to be, it is up to me, okay? So many people, my mother with special needs, that's the way the Lord told her about it. If it's going to be done, then I have to do it. don't be surprised whether if I don't talk to some realtor very soon about opening up an office to solve pollution problems. And I'm sure, I don't want to do anything that's going to harm Pompton Lakes either its reputation or anything. So I'd like this to be very careful, and we have to get some way we have to get the people together in this town. Because what we start here, like throwing, you have a very clear lake. You throw one pebble in, concentric rings. Well, the town next to us is Oakland, Riverdale, Wayne, Wanacue, and Wanacue, they've got the pollution problem too, because some of the land that is owned by DuPont is also in Wanacue's thing. Don't be surprised if I don't start an office. This is a worldwide problem. Remember the time, I'm only going to take another 30 seconds.
That's fine, take your time.
Remember the time you drove me home from Lakeside School?
I do.
I said, well, millennials and pre-millennials and post-millennials have one desire, to see this earth cleaned. Matter of fact, AOC is talking about it all the time. And I said, you know what? If it's going to be up to me. And my mother was very successful in that approach. Well, I'm her kid. I'm her son. I'm about to take that and supermax it some way. So, pray that I do things wisely and everything else. And I just want some way to bless this town that way. And I know that it needs to be done. It's a critical need. And if it isn't done soon, then a lot of what millennials believe in are going to be thrown out the door. So, Gordian, I don't believe in swords because they're dangerous. I don't believe in rope because it's dangerous. So I'm going to turn around and start with no rope and do something different.
Thank you.
Okay, I gotta go. I gotta take care of Mom and Russ.
Okay, take care of it. Anyone else from the public like to talk? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session? So moved. Councilman Devine, Councilman Bennett. All in favor? Aye. Against? Approval of minutes. Motion to approve the following minutes. Regular meeting minutes of June 26, 2019. So moved. Councilman Bennett excused. Councilman Devine?
Second.
Councilwoman Palladori. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Bills and claims. Motion to approve the following bills as listed below. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Councilman Begg?
Second.
Councilman Bennett? All in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Present.
Can I have a present? Okay. Consent agenda whenever you're ready. Nope.
Whereas the mayor and council of the borough of Pompton Lakes have reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions, and whereas the mayor and council of the borough of Pompton Lakes does not desire to remove resolutions for individual action from that agenda, now therefore be it resolved that the following resolution on the consent agenda are hereby approved. Resolution 19-145 through 19-150.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Councilman Bennett, Council President Riker, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Separate action.
Resolution 19-151, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor and clerk to execute a separation agreement with the chief of police.
Does anybody want to say anything? Okay. Motion to approve Resolution 19-151.
So moved.
Councilman Begg?
Second.
Councilman Bennett? Or Councilman Devine? Roll call, please. Or any discussion, I'm sorry. Any discussion? No. Okay. Roll call.
Councilwoman Riker?
Yes.
Councilman Bennett?
Yes.
Councilman Begg?
Yes.
Councilman Dewan?
Yes.
Councilman Giaconetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Polidori? Yes. Resolution 19-152, a resolution authorizing and directing the mayor and clerk to execute an agreement with the Fair Share Housing Center settling the COA litigation in the Superior Court of New Jersey, docket... You want me to read the rest?
No, it's okay.
Yeah,
We could say a lot about this forever, but if you'd like to say a couple words, that'd be great.
The purpose of this resolution is to get the mayor and clerk's approval, mayor and clerk's signature, and mayor and council's approval to settle the COA litigation that we've been involved in since 2015. The COA litigation covers the obligation of the municipality from 2015 through 2025. My recollection is that the number of units for low to moderate income housing that the borough is required to produce in that period of time is 354. The definition of low to moderate income housing changes every year. It's based upon not only income, but upon values of rentals and values of sales and things of that nature. This particular settlement agreement is between the borough and the Fair Share Housing Center, because Fair Share Housing gets involved in code litigation in every municipality in the state, and without their agreement, there is no court that I know of that will approve a co-ed decision by a municipality. So this was worked on, the settlement itself was worked on over the last year. It's not only approved by Fair Share Housing, but it's been approved by the special master who was assigned to Pompton Lakes, Burgess and Associates. So I'm requesting that you approve this settlement agreement. Now, just because you approve it doesn't mean it will be the settlement agreement. I then have to go to court on July the 30th, and Mr. Genoda from H2M, who is the planner involved in this, and myself, and Mr. Burgess will offer testimony. Well, I won't offer testimony. I will question them, and they will offer testimony before Judge Brogan, who will make the final decision as to whether or not the settlement agreement is appropriate for both the borough and to satisfy the co-obligation that is owed to the state of New Jersey.
Okay, and I got to thank Joe for the hard work he's put in for many years on this. I do think it's a fair agreement for us. You know, we've gone back and forth with this for a long time. Let's get this settled and move on. And it's not, as Joe mentioned, it's not just about our town. Every town in the state of New Jersey has to go through this, and they'll all have different agreements and different settlements. So I think it's fair, and hopefully it'll be brought into resolution with them, then we'll move forward. With that, can I have a motion for 19-152?
So moved.
Councilman Begg, Councilman Devine, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Riker?
Yes.
Councilman Bennett?
Yes.
Councilman Begg?
Yes.
Councilman Devine?
Yes.
Councilman Giaconetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Collier?
Yes.
Ordinances for second reading, they've been posted on the municipal bulletin board. Ordinance 19-20, an ordinance amending section 8-8 firearms and other weapons.
Motion to open the meeting for public comments on ordinance 19-20.
So moved.
Councilman Giaconetti?
Second.
Council President Riker, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address just this ordinance? Please step up.
Hi, Peter Shazat, 314 Woodlawn Avenue. I just basically want to ask, is there any reason that this is coming up now? Is there anything that happened to jumpstart this ordinance, or is this just filling in code?
So we had a request from an organization in town for some protection, and we want to identify anybody who's carrying a gun for the police department, so they know who's carrying weapons on the for the law enforcement. So we want to identify those, and that's why we're doing it.
Is that just in the general population, or for specific events if they're hiring security?
Well, right now, it's only been one specific event that we had, but this is for the future also.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session on ordinance 19-20?
So moved.
Council President Riker, Councilwoman Alidori, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion to approve ordinance 19-20 for final adoption.
So moved.
Councilman Giaconetti?
Second.
Councilman Begg, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Riker?
Yes.
Councilman Bennett?
Yes.
Councilman Begg?
Yes.
Councilman Devine?
Yes.
Councilman Giaconetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Collier?
Yes.
Ordinance 19-21, an ordinance amending section 8-17 of the Borough Administrative Code, parking of vehicles.
The purpose of the ordinance is to prohibit the parking of commercial vehicles overnight on borough roads, overnight from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m.
And this came from a lot of concern and complaints from residents about sight vision and vehicles that shouldn't be parked on the street. in neighborhoods that are, doing the best they can to move forward. So this is why it's been brought out. Can I have a motion to open the meeting for public comments on ordinance 19-21? So moved. Council President Riker, Councilman Devine, all in favor? Aye. Against? Anyone from the public like to address ordinance 19-21? Please step up.
Lady hitting 443 Montclair Avenue. Just a clarification, this is strictly commercial vehicles, or is it recreational campers or Winnebagos?
Commercial vehicle licenses only.
Right now, it's commercial vehicles only, right? But we will be looking in the future at some other things.
All right, because there has been issues with people parking large recreational.
Well, there is an ordinance in place already for them, and there is some time. Do you remember the time frame? There is some time given to somebody who has a recreation vehicle to have it for visiting guests, but after they reach that point, then it would be illegal to have.
All right, so this is strictly commercial vehicles.
Commercial, yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the meeting for public comments on ordinance 19-21? So moved. Councilman Devine, Councilwoman Pelledori, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion to approve ordinance 19-21 for final adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Devine, Councilman Bennett, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Riker? Yes. Councilman Bennett?
Yes.
Councilman Begg?
Yes.
Councilman Devine?
Yes.
Councilman Giaconetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Polidori? Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, under my report, we'll start with, before this meeting, the county freeholders were up here, and they had to discuss some property that we're trying to sell us in town here. I thank them for coming up. We had a couple of freeholders here. They actually ran part of their meeting here from our dais, and hopefully, it'll help us improve some of the property that we're looking to purchase. I attended the film festival, the Cecil B. DeMille Film Festival yesterday. If you hadn't had a chance to do it, I got to tell you, they did a great job with it. It was held at the Christ Church. They had someone give a presentation on what it was about. For people who don't know, Cecil B. DeMille, who was a famous director, grew up in town here in Pompton Lakes. He made a lot of very famous movies. I was watching last night, I forgot which one it was called, the Circus.
Greatest show on earth.
The greatest show on earth. Never had seen it before. I had to leave for another meeting. I would have stayed the 2.5 hours and watched the whole meeting there if I could have. It was very interesting. And one of the things that the speaker brought up in the meeting was a lot of the things he uses in a lot of his movies came from his growing up in Pompton Lakes, bridges and things like that you can see subtly put into the movies he's made. So it was pretty interesting, and they hope to do it again. So kudos to the Friends of the Library and the group that put that on. It was very nice. It's been a very busy wedding month. I've done probably 6 or 7 weddings this month. I attended the Elks Car Show on Sunday. Always a great event. They seem to always pick the hottest day of the year to have this car show, but they had, hundreds of cars there, a lot of people walking around. It was all for a good cause, so it was a nice event to be a part of. We had the garage sale on Saturday. It was a well-attended garage sale. There were a lot of garage sales going on. There were a lot of people moving around, and I got to thank all our local residents and the people here in town. We really didn't have any issues with public and driving. That wasn't a concern of mine. That's why I'm a little sometimes against this garage sale, because people are more looking at what's on the side of the road than what's in front of them when they're driving. But we didn't have any incidents, so that's good. I was on the radio show, our new radio station on last Friday. They are doing their shows now from Pompton Lakes, and they'll be doing more and more of these things coming from Pompton. So if you haven't had a chance to turn it on, it's 93.6, is that correct?
No.
1,500.
Well, it's 1500 AM, but not...
But then FM, I don't believe FM.
It's not up yet? All right, so soon the FM will be up, but, they had a...
100 AM.
Yeah, right now it's still the old 1500 AM station. They are slowly moving into our radio station here, and we'll be taking over there and running it out of there also. They do a lot of local news, a lot of announcement from Pompton Lakes, even though they're doing it out of Orange County, New York right now. So it makes it feel like they're here already, so good luck to them. We have a couple things coming up. We have National Night Out coming up in August. That's always a nice event. The police and everybody come out and support that. The residents are all here. A lot of good information there, so I encourage everybody to come out for that. And lastly, let's not forget, we have Pompton Day coming up. With that, we are still looking for some vendors. If you're interested in being a vendor, contact Karen Murphy. If you're a nonprofit, we will entertain nonprofits also. We're trying to do a kind of a balance between nonprofit and profit, because, obviously we don't want a whole parade of nonprofit, but if you still have a nonprofit, you can get some space in there. If you'd like to help or have any great ideas that you'd like to see in Pompton Day, please reach out. We're always looking for new ideas, and maybe you've been to other events or other places and you've seen something that was interesting. We'd like to bring it here to Pompton. And let's not forget, we do have our fireworks display after that, and it's usually always a good display, so I look forward to that. That is my report. Council President Riker.
Thank you. The mayor dealt with a number of events, and we've really been very active here during the summer. Perhaps not on the dais, since we only meet once a month during the summer months, but you had the garage sale, you had the bid concerts, you have the film festival, you have the car show, there was carnival across the street, and he mentioned that National Night Out is coming, senior picnic is coming as well. If you have friends who live nearby, I encourage you to take advantage of these events in the community and try not only to support them, but try to bring other people into the town. It really is, these events are really a good face on the community, and as we get people going through our community, they support our businesses, they support our restaurants, and it really has a bit of a snowball effect. And whatever we can do to not just go to them ourselves, but not only bring a friend, think about the friend from a neighboring community, and I think that will give us some of the traction that we've been beginning to see. On the consent agenda, there was Resolution 19-147. I just want to comment on that. During our last meeting, we had, I acknowledged the retirement of Barbara Frankel, and this is, with her retirement, the administrator and others felt that the best way to fulfill that type of service to the community is to do another shared service. I had the opportunity to meet with the person from Bloomingdale today. We met at length, because when we were reviewing the invoices that we routinely do, Finance Committee, it was clear that she was approaching things from a different perspective. I'm personally very excited that we have the opportunity to see some fresh eyes on some of the systems that we've been using, and she really seemed very dynamic, and some things that perhaps are not 21st century or quite up to speed. I think over the next 6 months we're going to see some streamlining and some changes, so I'm very excited about that. The other thing that we mentioned here last time was the DEP was supposed to come visit us. DEP didn't show up. We were told the DEP is showing up tomorrow.
They will definitely be here tomorrow from 10 to 5 here in our map room.
So, EPA is here. Mayor tells me that EPA is picking DEP up, so that maybe both will be there. That's the latest, so I encourage anyone who has any questions. We're supposed to have both agencies, the state and federal agency, here to answer your questions. I received, not myself, but I think others up here received it, but as you know, I've sort of been passionate about the bicycle helmets, and Captain Clark has sent out an email to some of his patrolmen, and he basically was acknowledging the Wendy's and the ice cream station coupons that we have to reward kids who wear their helmets. Liz is just tenacious about constantly getting them for us. Thank you. And And what he's done is he's incentivizing the police officers to really use them by not only just handing them out, but he's created a bit of a spreadsheet on their computer in their cars, and he's asking them to actually keep track of where and how they're using them. So I'm hoping that this will increase the use of helmets. I personally, every time I see these young kids on this cycle, on the bicycles this summer without the helmets, it bothers me. So I'm hoping that more people will participate in wearing helmets. We know on National Night Out, there's going to be a couple of different organizations that are going to be raffling off and giving away helmets. So please, if you have children that age, everyone should wear a helmet, but especially the kids. It's the law. They need to wear their helmets, and I thank the police for doing whatever they can to try to encourage the kids. One last personal note. My husband's father died last week. He was 91. He had a good, long life. The last 4 months have been very hard. A series of hospitalizations getting progressively worse. But I really want to thank everyone up here and many people in the audience and the community that came out to either pay a shivakol or express condolences in all different ways, and all your support during this really tough time for the family, because this man was our patriarch. He embraced being a patriarch in the family, and all your support was really very much appreciated. So thank you very much. I do need a closed session for personnel at the end. Thank you.
Okay, just to mention the senior picnic, which I did forget to mention, that is August 8th. That is mostly our senior groups who come to the Elks Lodge for a picnic we have for them, but it is also welcome to any seniors who do not belong to a group. Is anybody checking ID to make sure you're a senior? I don't know the age of that senior number, but I know I'm going in, so that's pretty good for me. But if you are interested as a senior, would like to go to the Elks Lodge, do we have a time? Do we remember the time?
12.
12 o'clock? 12 o'clock at the Elks Lodge on August 8th.
But the other thing, Mayor, is, and this does require a little bit of planning, sometimes we hear after the fact that a senior can't get there. If there are seniors that can't get there, if they would reach out, we have senior groups in the community. We have plenty of people that I think would be happy to, I know I'm looking at Randy because he's very involved in one of the senior groups, but there's several senior groups in town. There's different people who I'm sure will be able to help out and help with the transportation. But we can only do it if we get a little bit of notice. So please help get it's not for a few weeks, so please help get the notice out there.
Okay, Councilman Giaconetti.
Thank you, Mayor. I attended the Flood Advisory Board meeting. During that meeting, a few things of note came up. For the month of May 2019, there were 7.62 inches of rain, and this is the most on record since 2011, since they've been keeping track of the rain. There was also 6.39 inches of rain during the month of June, last month. And then from January 1st, 2019 through the end of June 2019, there's been a total of 29.41 inches of rain. And that's for 6 months. All of last year, 2018, the total was 79.2 inches. So a little bit under what we had a total last year at the halfway point. So it was at least worth noting, we haven't really had any problems except for the flash floods we had with some of the sewer backups, but as fast as they came up, and I know the pothole, as fast as they went down. But overall, it's been pretty relatively low rain that we did have.
I'm just going to jump in there, just because you brought it up. There was some mention of the ice cream station that had some water in front of it. That was from some clogged storm drains that were in front of there. The water came down very hard and very fast, and it just couldn't accommodate the numbers. I know some people thought it had a lot to do with the building across the street, but let's remember, we've always had a building across the street there. It was just a different building. So, we know there was a clogged storm drain there, and we went and fixed it and unclogged it.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Mayor. Also attended the Shade Tree meeting. There was a total of 48 volunteer hours last month. Also of note, the old tree removal list is over 3 months old, and it's still being worked on. And in addition to the old tree removal list, we have a total of 15 as of that meeting that are on the new list. And I know, we had a couple residents there that night, and we have a tree on the removal list, and it's been a couple months, and they said, listen, what's going on? We try to explain to them, we don't, unfortunately, have one contractor, in the town down. I know Kevin's been trying to deal with them. They're a little behind. So we're trying to get the tree removal list going and trying to, prune trees with just one contractor that we have. There has been a delay. So at least if everybody knows, just to please bear with us. And hopefully, we're doing the best we can to get there. And unfortunately, they're, spread out all over the place to try to get them here. Sometimes they come here, they do maybe 6 trees and then they're off somewhere else. So we do have that, so we're a little behind, so please bear with us. Also, there's, for Eric to know, and, I know Randy went out, and I think with Pete Montieri, and they found 6 dead trees along the Morris Canal Greenway, from the entrance by Morris, Mathis Ave, okay.
Yeah, it's being dealt with under the contract.
Yeah, okay, good. All right, so that's something that you'll take care of, or? Okay, good. All right, so I just wanted to make sure I noted that to you. Also, it was nice, the Shade Tree received a letter from 201 Pompton Ave, the Wilson family, in regards to a October Glory, tree that was planted outside in front of their house. And they commented how beautiful it was, and, because back in the day, there was a tree-lined street, but I guess all of them died pretty much within a few years of each other. And the Shade Tree planted several trees there, and, they were happy, so they wrote a nice letter thanking the Shade Tree Commission and the borough for bringing that back to this way. By the time their kids grow up, they'll have a nice tree-lined street again, because that's what they remember when they moved into Pompton Lakes. So I thought that was a nice letter. I wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. And then the last thing I have is the Shade Tree Commission, unfortunately, is losing another board member. Danielle Venti is engaged, so some happy news, but she's moving out of town. We wish her well on her engagement and future marriage, but we're down a member/secretary.
So how many members are they down there?
2.
And one of them is the secretary.
Yes.
So the secretary is a paid position at $50 a meeting, isn't that correct?
$500 a year.
$500 a year.
Right.
So if anybody's interested, you also are a voting member on that board as a secretary, correct?
I think so, yeah.
It can be.
You can.
I don't think she is, but I think you can, I don't know.
She was a commissioner and secretary.
She was, right.
Other than that, the secretary is not.
Correct.
All right, so if somebody's interested in that position, please reach out to Councilman Giacometto or myself or Mr. Hinton, about filling the position of being secretary. And if you're interested in being on the Shade Tree Commission, please reach out to us. It is an important group in town, so we do want to keep it filled.
Right. That was the other thing too, as far as that, now Eric's here, with the flood advisory board, with the one member being there, that wanted to do the secretary position and maybe
Right, we
board.
straightened that out.
Right,
We
it's
did
good.
straighten that out, right? Okay, good. All right, so it's almost the same thing, so thank you. All right, that's all I have, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Palladori,
Thank you.
you want to do a motion? You have some motions.
I do.
first.
I have 2 motions. I'll read those first. First, motion to approve the request of Jennifer Vituli and surrounding neighbors to host a block party at Lake Avenue between Colfax Avenue and Orchard Street on September 1st, 2019, from noon until dusk. Police, fire, and first aid are to be notified.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Devine, all in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay.
Okay, and second, a request by the Chamber of Commerce for the annual Classic Car Show. The following motion is presented on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce regarding the 20th Annual Classic Car Show to be held on Sunday, October 13th, 2019, with a rain date of October 20th, 2019, from 8 a.m. through 5 p.m. Police, fire, and first aid to be notified on the following requests. Chamber of Commerce to contact Police Department and St. Mary's Church to coordinate traffic control, and certificate of insurance to be provided to the borough.
Yeah, you can finish, you might as
Is
well
that,
finish it.
all right,
Yeah,
that's,
keep
so
going.
also motion to approve the following requests made by the Chamber of Commerce to hold the 20th Annual Classic Car Show and close Wanacue Avenue from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., street closure between Pompton and Lakeside Avenues, to hang a banner on Wanacue Avenue advertising the 20th Annual Classic Car Show from September 9th, 2019 through October 21st, 2019. And lastly, for permission to use the Pond Hole parking lot during the 20th Annual Classic Car Show.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Bay, all in favor? Aye. Against? Okay, thank you.
Okay, and additionally, I also attended the Pompton Lakes Elks Car Show. We had a very good turnout. It was very hot, but it was nice to see so many people come out and participate. The Elks have their pasta night coming up the last Friday of this month. That's always a very nice event. The community gets together. It's a great price, a ton of food, everything is made in-house, and everything is for a good cause. So if you're looking for something to do for dinner on the last Friday of the month, please consider that as an option.
You need tickets, or you can just show up?
You can just show up and pay at the door. I encourage everyone to continue to check the rec committee website. We have a lot of activities underway, kickball, volleyball on Tuesday nights at Hirschfield. Camp is coming to a close. The kids had a great time this year. They had a lot of amazing activities planned. I know my son and his friends had a really nice time. Everyone down there did a good job. And it's very nice to see that the counselors that are there with the kids are more often than not children that went through the camp themselves, local community kids. So it's nice. It's actually very nice to see everyone there together. So I also had a note. I have some flyers that I brought. Geeta, you had asked last time about the June report for the MUA. I did bring some. It looks like they're gone. I have one more up here. It is also on the website, but this is a very good read. It talks about the process of the water assessment, what they look for, what the test results are, and things that you need to be concerned about, which we have none of. So I encourage you to read this. This one you can take, and then again, it's on the website. I also left from the MUA, Mary in the office from time to time creates a flyer, which is really for the benefit of new homeowners. Talks about the MUA, some of the folks down there, what they do, how you can get in touch with them, and how they operate. So it's a one-pager, it's an easy read, it gets updated periodically. She puts a lot of work into it, it's actually done very nicely. Also can be printed right off the website. And the last flyer I have up there, it's a little far in advance, but mark your calendars. We have a local business owner, Rotary and Chamber member, who is initiating a blood drive at the Glow House Kids right here on Wanacue Ave. So she's offering free screenings with that, and it's for an amazing cause, so there's flyers for that as well. And that is my report.
Thank you. Just because you brought up the MUA, just for the residents at home who don't know, the MUA is a separate entity from us. They have their own bookkeeping and their own funds. They are not under the town. They are a branch of the town, but they run their own policies over there. They have their own board of people on there. So I know some people think when they call the town, they're trying to get hold of the MUA. You have to call directly to the MUA to speak to them. They have hours posted. They're on our webpage. Or you can go down and visit them if you have to ask any questions or concerns. Okay, who's next? Councilman Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to offer my condolences to the Riker family on the loss of Oscar's father. I was at Council President Riker's residence on that Sunday. I submitted another grant for additional daffodil bulbs. This time we're a little more ambitious since last time. A lot of folks reached out and suggested other spots within the town to plant. So we have a bunch of volunteers. So last time was 1,000. This time we're going for 5,000.
You have to move to your house, right?
Yes, they're going to sit in your office. They're going to sit in your office for a little bit. It's only 5 times more. So I'm looking forward to that. As soon as we hear back, more information will come out. The planting should be earlier in the year because the bulbs should be delivered by end of September.
Is it a definite that we're getting them, or we have to apply?
We apply. Once we hear back, we'll get more details and so on and so forth.
But it's not a bigger number after that, is there?
Sorry?
It's not a bigger number after that.
Next year?
It's exponential.
It might be 10,000 next year. The whole town. Mrs. Venn and I met with an Eagle Scout candidate who wants to do a project on the Morristown Greenway. The young man wants to do the strip of in front of the benches. There's also a strip of dirt now currently where grass is now growing through. So his plan is to go through, I think there's a dozen. How many benches are there? About a dozen throughout the trail and work on that and do basically what was done underneath the bench, but in front of the bench now.
I spoke to him, that's good. I'm glad he took that project on. That's a good project.
In addition, we chatted with the Scoutmaster, I believe he is, who's responsible for the projects, and he's going to coordinate additional, he found a bunch of ideas as we're walking on the trail for other scouts as well. So that's just a good connection there. I think it was this past Sunday was Trails Maintenance. Trails Maintenance, we had about a dozen volunteers show up, and we cleared the entire trail system. Previously, it was basically impassable between all the water and overgrown trails. Now, all started at the Morris Canal Greenway by Mathis Ave all the way through to Joe Grill Field. You can get all the way through. Some of the loops are still underwater and impassable, but the main trails are good to go. And lastly, with the flash floods that we've been having, I came across a storm drain that was completely blocked with a piece of cardboard and other debris. If you're nearby it, instead of ignoring it, it would help everybody out to just clear it, chuck it in the garbage or whatever. Similar to in the winter if you have a fire hydrant by your property, which I happen to have, you're requested to help the fire department out by clearing the snow off the fire hydrant, similar to that. And that's my report. Thank you.
So we have a very active Boy Scout troop in this town, where I'm going to an Eagle ceremony probably once a month to, make a new Eagle Scout, which is amazing because, that's a very hard thing to do. So, I'm glad that they're finding projects in town. We're running out of projects for the Boy Scouts to do because they're so active. So if anybody of the board members here come up with projects, please let me know, because they're always asking me to look for projects. So, and they do.
Aren't you a past
I am.
Eagle Scout? Congratulations, very good.
Mayor, I believe there's a Girl Scout that's doing her project.
Yes, so, knowing from firsthand, now that Frank has brought it up, that it is a lot of work and a lot of energy to do those projects. So we do get a lot of help and a lot of work. So even if residents have an idea for a Boy Scout party, they are always desperate for projects. So please reach out to me if anybody has an idea. Thank you. Councilman Day.
Thank you. I received the Pompton Lakes Riverdale First Aid Squad report for the month of June from Chief Sean Coletti. There were 94 calls for service for the month of June. There were 51 calls in Pompton Lakes, 14 calls in Riverdale, 13 duty calls in Wanacue. There were 56 medical emergency calls, 17 trauma injury calls, no CPRs, 10 motor vehicle accidents, and 2 fires. I attended the Pompton Lakes Prevention Coalition on June 27th. Coordinator Ashley Lusick reported that she is looking for volunteers to man the coalition booths on National Night Out on August 6th and Pompton Day September 1st. The coalition will be looking for residents to participate in the needs assessment survey at these events. The coalition is also in the process of planning a car accident scenario for the prom week for next school year. I attended the Pompton Lakes Chamber of Commerce meeting on July 1st. The chamber received a two thank you notes from Ali Allegra and Ryan Bootstra, who received the Chamber's Scholarship Awards. The Chamber also reported that the Mystery Photo Challenge contest was a great success. President Art Kafka reported that the paper shredding program was a success and the truck was filled by noontime. It is planned to do the shredding program again in October. I attended the Pompton Lakes Planning Board meeting on July 16th. Approved at the meeting was a resolution granting amendment site plan approval for 43 Lakeside Avenue, allowing for a trash room and trash chute and electric meters at the rear of the building. The board also passed 2 resolutions on preliminary investigations of property for placement in the redevelopment zones. One was the Passaic County Housing Development Study Area, their DPW on Ringwood Avenue, and the Wanacue Avenue Meridia Study Area, which is Wanacue Avenue, Lenox Avenue, and Bob Cock Place. And that's my report.
Thank you. And Councilman Begg reminded me that there's been a lot of talk on different places about all the traffic in town the last week. The reason there's been so much traffic is they've been repaving 287. Why they decided to repave it at 4:30 in the afternoon, I'll never know, but it is backing up all the traffic all the way down into Fairlawn, so people are cutting through all the small towns to go around. So it has been rough in Pompton Lakes for the last couple of days. They should be done with the paving in the next week, but I guess that we're going to have to put up with the fact that the roads will be crowded for the next week or so with the paving.
Mayor, before you go on to next report, question, I don't know if it's for you or for Councilman Begg, but when we were talking about the senior picnic coming up, is our coalition coordinator aware of this? Because, these are all the grandparents in town.
Yeah.
Is she
She knows,
planning on
yes.
doing a booth for them?
I don't know if she's going to be a booth, but she'll be there, I think.
Okay, because, is there a big crowd they're a crowd that particularly likes the giveaways, and she's got a lot, so.
Well, now we're talking about our condolences from this whole board up here. She did lose her father in the last couple of days, who's a local resident here in town. So our condolences is to Ashley, who is our coordinator for that. Okay, Councilman Dawn.
Thank you, Mayor. Last Tuesday, I attended the Board of Education's meeting that they have the one meeting they have in July. There was some discussion about, if you paid attention to Facebook, some of the garbage and trash issues that have been popping up on the turf fields. So there was some discussion among the board on how to address that. They do have a couple cameras that are oriented towards those fields. They're talking about possibly locking up a couple of the gates on the street side, the Lakeside Avenue side, so people would have to come in from the high school parking lot where the cameras could actually see whoever's coming onto the field. As a result, there was discussion just locking them up permanently during off hours, things like that. I think generally the board wants to discourage that. They do see this field as a community asset. They don't want to necessarily discourage it, but they do want to sort of encourage the responsible use of it. So there's a number of things that they're discussing. Through the Pompton Lakes Educational Foundation, the budget themselves, they continue to upgrade their technology. They're adding more laptops. They're switching out older laptops, bringing in newer laptops, things like that. So it's always good to see the board and the school district move forward with those initiatives. And then they pointed out that the Pompton Lakes Future Business Leaders of America finished 4th in the nation down at the competition in San Antonio. It is impressive. It's, as small town like Pompton Lakes, being able to, excel nationally against, much larger school districts, much larger regions. And it seems to be the case that the FBLA really does excel at these kind of
And that has a lot to do with the leadership of that group. The Helms together do it, and they've been doing it a long time. As teachers, they do a great job.
They definitely, know what they're doing, and they do it well. And then finally, just wanted to point out that there's going to be a couple retirements, long-time retirements at the end of December. First, the Lenox Elementary physical ed teacher, John Arofio, who's been with the school district for 38 years, will be retiring at the end of the year, as well as Lenox Elementary's head custodian, Pete Becker, 33 years, 20 years as a Lenox head custodian. Both of them are retiring at the end of the year.
The man with the cowboy hat, as they know him.
Mayor, just follow up to the Pompton Lakes Ed Foundation. We talk a lot about some of the events going on in town. Pompton Lakes Ed Foundation has a big tricky tray coming up in October. And I know that sounds like a long time away, but Diane Gelock did send out an email asking for people to begin to think about their donations for the Tricky Tray, because that is one of their major fundraisers. And she also particularly asked that she would like to increase the number of gifts that appeal to men, because it's in the peak of football season. And she says if anyone has contacts any of the sports teams or jerseys or anything like that, please think along those lines, and she would be very grateful. So
I have an event before that, too.
Yeah.
It's the country music night.
I don't know when that is, though. I don't remember.
The 13th of September.
Okay.
At the Glenburn Estate. So she has two pretty big events coming up.
Okay, thank you. Professional reports.
I'd like a in closed session for negotiations.
Different from Council President Riker? Okay, we have two. Administrator's report.
I just have a couple short things, Mayor. We've applied for a 2019 sober driver Labor Day funding from the state. Hopefully we'll get that grant and have some extra police out under the grant for Labor Day. And our 2018 CDBG ADA curb cuts, that's funding from the CDBG program through the county for 18, coming in this year. We have $80,000 plus what we put in our budget, and those bids are coming due the end of the month on July 31st. And we'll be doing a couple extra projects besides that. We're going to be doing the back sidewalk here under that project, that type of thing. So we have a couple add-ons, but that'll be done probably August before the school starts in September. And after we talked about the daffodils, so I guess we're good.
Mill Street is being done next month?
Yeah, all those roads that are part of the additional 200,000 will all be done next month. We are going to have the diamond contracting, and going to be doing the catch basin work and so forth. It's not going to be as invasive as Montclair Ave. Some streets have no prep work needed, and we'll be in and out relatively quickly with those. So Tilcon's trying to schedule so they're doing Montclair, Broad, and all those streets all around the same time. Get it all done at once.
And I know we've had a resident in the past who's brought it up numerous times. We are, when I understand, putting a new plate on the bridge at DuPont that will cover any issues we have.
Dan's ordering the plate, and we're going to just buy a new plate, put it down, have the other one taken away.
Any questions from the administrators?
I just have a quick question. That aging in place program, did we end up applying for that grant?
Yes, the resolution on the agenda tonight, yeah.
Okay, great.
Any other questions? Nope. Okay. Have a motion to open the meeting for public comments.
So moved.
Councilman Devine?
Second.
Councilman Bennett? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone from the public like to address? Please step up. Like that.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, John, for posting that. I saw you post that shortly after the last meeting. I appreciate that.
Name and address.
Name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you knew me by now.
No, but it's your record.
It's Gita Curtis, 111 Ramapo Avenue. I guess you know what subject I'd like to talk about tonight, which of course would be DuPont Chemours, which I always talk about. I would like some transparency as far as how DuPont and Chemours has contributed financially to this town besides their taxes. They have to pay taxes, that's the law. What little things have they done? You know, I can find some things, like they gave $5,000 to the History Commission for a survey. I know they had something to do with the teen center, but I can't find a number. On their website, they say they support the bid, but I don't have a number.
No, they don't. So let me address that just to help you with it. Anything they do on their own with individual groups is not through the town. So if they don't make donations to somebody, that's not recorded with us, okay, unless they're giving something to the town itself, which they don't. The last thing they gave us was, years ago, they used to pay for half of our environmental officer, but he has since left, and they're not doing that anymore. Pompton Day, for example, we send out a vendor request to all the people we do business with, Tilcon, DuPont, attorneys and everybody, and each of them will write a donation somehow. That's not recorded per se under a town website anywhere. So if the library, for example, is having a Cecil B. DeMille Film Festival, they'll reach out to organizations for help. DuPont may be one of them. I don't know if they are or not. And if they give money, that's up to DuPont. That's not through the town. I will tell you, brought up the taxes. They do pay the taxes, which they do have to do, but what you're missing is they're paying an amount that they shouldn't be paying right now. So they've been reclassified of what they were not an industrial site anymore. They're a recreational site. They have never lowered the amount of taxes that they're paying, even though they could if they wanted to. I know that doesn't justify anything they do, but I just want to make it understand.
But that's not transparent. Nobody knows that, nobody sees that. You're telling me that now, but if I looked up their taxes, I wouldn't be able to find that.
It's available, it's there.
It's public record.
It's public record.
Yeah.
You're paying the same taxes they were as if the plant was still there.
So
Okay, so that's
it is
one
public
thing.
record. It's public record.
Also, there's public record in terms of, just to echo what the mayor said, for instance, they have historically given money to the Board of Ed to be used specifically for science education.
They also gave somebody a bonus of some money some years.
A town employee or,
In the Board of Ed, no?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Okay, this is what we're talking about, like these rumors, and sometimes you find things, like, I know you bought the senior center land for $10, like stuff like that.
Wait,
It
go
needs
back, go
to be
back. We bought
laid
this.
out. We need to know what,
We can't, but that's on their side. That's not on our side.
we're accepting it, so we need to know.
Well, so what are you asking for then?
I would like it enumerated. What has this company given our town
Sometimes they don't want, I'll give you an example.
We need to know.
I was in charge of soccer for many years. They helped donate some things to soccer. We wanted to name the field after them for doing, back then the field used to be on the DuPont property. They wanted to not be named it, they did not want to be named as someone who helped, they just wanted to keep it local with the local soccer. That's up to them to make that decision, not us.
Well, they're glad now because the kids aren't allowed on that land now.
Well, that's not true, they're not allowed on it because of the wells that are there, not because
I
they're not
know it's a
allowed on it.
resurgent area, but we'd like it just, I would like it clarified as a resident.
I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately, I don't think
No,
that's going to
I don't
happen.
think it's gonna happen either, but I could try. I
You could
said, why
try.
don't I ask? Why don't I ask?
And
So we
what-
can get this together. Some of these rumors may be late spread, some of them might come out,
Sure.
but transparency is the only thing that's gonna be able
I
to
agree
get this
100%.
community together.
I agree 100%.
Because there are people that really do care and really do know what's going on.
I agree.
You may not see them, but they're there. So it's important that everybody get together so we can have a united town.
We can only speak from the town side, so I can tell you the things that the town has taken, and it's not many. They helped do the lake treatment, for example. They helped put some money towards when we treated the lake, which we didn't do this year, right? They put some money towards the lake treatment. They used to pay for half of our environmental officer. Anything else that I'm missing for the town side?
No, they used to contribute, they haven't contributed to lake treatment in a while. They used to contribute to lake treatment. They used to contribute full salary.
Oh, full salary, okay.
Full salary for many, many years. And, of course, the taxes.
And the taxes, right. So that part, we can keep track of. What they do privately on their own, unfortunately, we can't keep track
So
of.
if they give money to the, I don't know,
Yeah, just pick an example.
just the teen center,
Right.
say they establish that and give money to them.
That we wouldn't know about that, right?
But isn't the teen center the town?
It's the towns, but if there's, when they solicit, all these groups solicit from groups, they'll go to the PAL, the First Aid, they'll go to the Rotary, they'll go to many different groups for things. Those are not kept as record as what they're giving. When they have, I'm in the Knights of Columbus, we get many organizations in town asking us for many different things, and we give them money, but we don't record it that we're giving them money, we just hand them what they're looking for. Same thing the Elks does all the time, Elks gives money all the time. I'm sure they're not recording where they give that money to.
Let me just say one thing, I think what's missing the point relative to DuPont taxes. They are the largest taxpayer in the borough of Pompton Lakes, the largest. If they were to go ahead and turn around and say, we want to be assessed as a recreational property, you can roll this town up and walk away, because your taxes would go out the window. They are continue to help stabilize the tax base, and their game plan is as we redevelop, they'll redevelop their site so they can slowly switch the base from them paying taxes on a plant that, on a property that has nothing there, to a tax base that has something there. So you have to understand, it's not just they're just paying taxes. They're the largest taxpayer in the borough of Pompton Lakes, and they had an opportunity, we did the evaluation, to challenge that assessment. They did not do that. They realized that they did that, we would be in economic trouble, big economic trouble. I do the budget, I know. So we have to understand that
So they just did that, they just did that out of the largest of their warm corporate heart?
Yes.
Absolutely,
Yes.
they did.
Okay.
So, and I understand where people could see that as an issue.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's the truth. It is the truth. Now, I've always said DuPont by itself is not who's running this thing. It's the EPA and the DEP. They're in charge of that site, DuPont. They are in charge of making sure it's done correctly. DuPont has no say in that matter.
EPA and the DEP do. If there's a concern or a question or something, then they would be the ones to be responsible for that. And I have to always follow that up with, and you can ask this of the EPA and the DEP, both of them, have they ever challenged or been noted for doing something wrong, DuPont? Have they ever been written up or paid a fine or any of these things? And in the history they've been here, they have not. Now, that's not my suggestion, that's the EPA and the DEP's thing, that's not coming from me. So that does carry some credibility, till the day they do something wrong. And then it's a different ballgame. Then now they're cutting corners or doing whatever they're doing wrong.
Like pollute a whole community?
Unfortunately-
They have done something wrong to begin with.
Unfortunately, they have,
So we have to
yes.
start from there.
They have.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for answering and being patient with me, because I will come here every council meeting
Fine.
and talk about this until that's clean to the best of its ability.
I agree.
Because we know, and I will always say, at the end, you have a chance to impact it in a positive manner. And by that something changed, you disappointed us all.
That's your opinion on that. That's your, okay, but, well, you should bring those opinions tomorrow to the DEP and EPA.
Oh, I will.
Good, that's what you should be doing, good.
I'll be there at lunchtime.
Perfect. Anyone else from the public like to address? Please, sir.
Randy Hinton, 443 Montclair Avenue. I also would like to give my condolences to Councilwoman Reichert for her father-in-law, man living into his early 90s, God bless him. We all hope that we could live that long. Just two things on the Shade Tree Commission. One, I talked to the road super for Downs Tree Service, and we were talking about the emerald ash borer, and he said he's coming across a lot more of it. As close to Pompton Lakes, he has found it, is in Oakland, and you really can't get any closer than that. So I just want to inform the council, I want to inform the residents that if they do have ash trees on their property that they do want to save, to contact a tree company and to start pesticide control on that tree.
So an ash tree can be saved if...
Yes, they can, yeah, but I mean, it's a long-term solution. You might have to use pesticide on that tree, and treat that tree for a good 10 years, till the infestation has come and gone. So, but if they want to do that, hey, that's their option. I don't think that the town is going to do that to the trees in Pompton Lakes. It's very costly and time-consuming.
How many ash trees do we have, do you know?
I would have to get back with environmental officer, Mr. Merrill. It's just a guesstimate. We have really no idea, to tell you the God's honest truth. Shade Tree has removed ash trees, and we will continue to remove ash trees. There's no historic ash tree that anybody, or we've noticed, that we want to save, that we'd even bring to your attention. So, we're just removing them as budget, and you guys have been great with our budget. Can afford that stuff. That's what we're gonna do. Also, in Councilman Giaconetta's report, he talked about Downs Tree Service. We've had a removal list and pruning list out for 3 months, and in the last week, they have given us a couple of days of removals. So, they have been picking up and doing their job on that. Also, in his report, he was talking about dead trees along the Morris Canal Greenway. I don't know if there was a confusion between Councilman Giaconetta and Councilman Devine. These are not the trees that were planted in that. These are old trees that are there, that I'll work with DPW, see if maybe they can drop them safely and cut them up. Because as it stands, we cannot get Downs on that trail. The trail was not built to hold trucks of the size that we would need to remove the trees. So we will work with DPW and see what we can do. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Randy?
Drop something. Anyone else from the public, please step up.
Hi, Peter Shazat, 314 Woodlawn Avenue. I was wondering if I could get, I know you already passed the resolution, but some clarification on Resolution 19151, basically the mayor, of course, execute a separation agreement with the chief of police. He retired, right? Is that right?
By law, you have to retire at 65 as a police
Right.
chief, so he has to retire.
I think I heard through the grapevine that he's got 6 months worth of vacation, so he's kind of using that, and he's still on the job for the next 6 months, but not...
Not 6 months, he has some time he can use, which is legit, and he's allowed to use that time, that's his choice. I don't think it adds up to 6 months, I think he is coming in still, correct? But it's on his days off that he wants, you know, he takes the days off and comes in the
Yeah, I
next
hear
month.
though that is preventing the next person from occupying his position until that time, his vacation's all used up.
No, by law, we can't put the person into the next position until he's off the books.
So he's off the books, right, so we have to wait until his vacation.
Yeah, by law, they have to wait till off the
And all that
books.
stuff, so, all right. So that's true what I heard then. The other resolution, 19152, you're executing an agreement with the Fair Housing Settlement, the co-litigation.
Oh, yeah.
So was this, the settlement, is this settlement kind of in lieu of fulfilling the obligation of having low-income housing, or is it a penalty for a failure to kind of do the...
None of those things.
It's none of those things. What is this?
It's actually a solution to the low income. This is what they're telling us we have to supply as we move forward and anything we build. They're telling us there's a certain number of units we have to build, and how it has to be built, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, what the price will be to rent those as a low income. We don't set that, that'll be set by the state. And so, for example, Salvation Army's building a building where the Salvation Army is. They have a certain COA requirement. I think it's 5 units they'll have to put in as low-income units there by state law.
Okay, so this is litigation for an agreement of going forward as opposed to...
No, it covers 2015 to 2025, but it also covers any prior obligation, any, what they call gap obligation. It covers all obligations of the Borough of Pompton Lakes for low to moderate income housing through 2025.
Were we in compliance then for the years of
We
2015
have
till now?
not, no, we weren't, because we were not a member of COA, and we chose not to be a member of COA. But at this point, we are participating in the COA program, and the numbers are the numbers that are acceptable to the special master. That's an individual appointed by the courts to review our situation, and by Fair Share Housing, who looks at the co-obligation of every municipality. So long as Judge Brogan approves it, that will be our obligation.
So what had happened, just so you understand, in the past, a different type of COA was put in place, and a lot of towns, they didn't have to build them in their towns, so they were shipping out the money to other towns who promised they would build the COA in their towns, and these towns took the money in, but never built the COA.
Right.
So
Kind of like carbon credits, like almost on your behalf, we'll take over your
Right.
obligation.
And that never happened, so
Right.
Fair Share said this is not working,
Okay.
so they came up with a new method to do this.
So are we negotiating as to what our actual responsibility will be? Is that what the settlement is, or is the settlement for a deficiency in any past action?
Can you answer that?
Yes, sir.
The settlement is a negotiation on a number of units, first. It's also a negotiation of percentage of units in all redevelopment areas. It's also a negotiation as to how much money will be paid in the case of any developer who wants to provide less units than required, so that we have a fund to rehabilitate units within the municipality. It's also a settlement that deals with about 20 other things.
Sure.
That have to be accounted for under the co-obligation of any municipality. But the primary ones are the ones I just told you. The only thing that is different is that if there's to be redevelopment of a residential area of 6 or more units outside of our redevelopment areas, that requires a 20% contribution. But I don't think there's an area in Pompton Lakes that will qualify.
Okay.
Because I don't think there's enough land to do that.
Okay. So a little catch-up and a little pre-planning for future
It
stuff.
covers everything that was ever not done, everything that is required to be done, everything that is an obligation to the borough will be covered in the settlement.
Great, thank you. Excellent. The plate over the DuPont Bridge, I remember from past meetings that you were reluctant to put a new plate there because you're kind of like, if we touch it, we own it. So do we own it now? Is that...
I'm not going to answer that question, but I'm trying to protect the residents over there.
Sure, yes, and that's,
The mayor said, he doesn't use that in the sense of having a legal title.
I know.
Because still, no one knows who legal
No one
title that
owns it,
bridge
right.
resides in. I think what the man, when he said, it was, if you fix it once, you're going to fix it forever.
Sure. But I have to take the safeties of the residents also to be concerned. So we'll see where that goes moving forward. We are still researching with the county and with DuPont also, actually, to see who can find out who owns this bridge.
lastly, I guess as we've seen in the news, Chemours is suing DuPont, for, underestimating the actual liability of the cleanup. So that should be interesting to see what comes out of that. I think the perception when we're talking about the taxes, and yes, that they're paying more taxes than they legally are obligated to do so, there is a bit of a public perception of maybe that if there's any quid pro quo on maybe the town being more lenient with them, then, you know, it's a hard perception to shake.
I agree. But let me just talk about the lawsuit a little bit. Back when this was put in place, the state of New Jersey refused to take the name DuPont off the agreement. So there's two names on the agreement in the state of New Jersey, DuPont and Chemours.
That's a good safeguard.
That's a safeguard.
Yeah.
And the federal government, in their great wisdom, decided to take off DuPont's name and just leave Chemours on there. So there is a difference between the state of New Jersey in that aspect. And the reason the state did that is just in case something happened, they could go back to the parent company.
Why do you think the federal was so quick
I
to
wouldn't be able
allow
to
that?
answer that, I don't know, but that's how they did it.
Do you know what year, roughly, do you know?
Yeah, it's been probably 5 years, maybe.
I'm sorry?
2015 is when,
No, I had,
I think 2015 is when they filed the FCC, the FCC filed.
around then.
It's around 2015.
So it's under the Obama administration?
Yeah, he's under the
Okay.
Obama administration.
All right. Thank you much.
Yep. Anyone else from the public like to address? Seeing no one, can I have a motion to close the public session?
So moved.
Jeez. Councilman Devine, Councilman Giacoretto. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Privilege of the floor? Anybody have privilege of the floor?
Yeah, one thing, Mayor, something I didn't get to bring up in my report. During the trail maintenance this past Sunday, we had a couple members of the volunteers deal with some heat-related issues, working too hard, not hydrating enough. It is hot today. It's going to be hot this week. It's going to be even hotter this weekend. Take care of yourself during yard work outside. It's going to be the hottest it's been all year. Check on your neighbors, your older neighbors especially, that may not have the central AC that a number of houses still enjoy. Again, just look out for each other in the community. That's it, man.
This coming from the workout maniac.
Well, I drink a lot of water.
No Spartans this weekend? Okay. I thank everyone for coming. We're going to move into closed session. Motion to adjourn, I'm sorry.
So moved.
Councilman Giacoretto, Councilman Bennett.
We ready?
In closed session, we discussed personnel and negotiations. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Councilman Giacoretto, Councilman Bennett. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Thank you.
confirm the August meeting date.
Confirm or deny?
Okay, the 14th.
I thought it was the 14th.